Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and welcome to our Westchester Weekly Update. Today is Monday, May 20th. I'll be joined in a few minutes by Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins. We've got a lot of different issues to talk about today. We have our municipal partners joining us, the supervisor of the town of Newcastle, Victoria Tipp. We're going to have updates on important issues that involve our health department, our Department of Consumer Protection. We have some discussion from our solid waste group that's going to be here. We've got a lot of different interesting things to talk about to get you up to date on some of the issues of things that are happening in Westchester County. Before we get started with anything, we want to make sure you remember that tomorrow is School Board Election Day throughout the communities of Westchester County. If you're not sure of what's on the ballot in your school district, call the school district Board of Education, speak to the clerk or somebody in the clerk's office, and they'll tell you what trustee seats may be up tomorrow, and then also usually the school budget is also voted on the same day. There may be some nuances from district to district. There are 44 school districts all across Westchester County. Outside of the city of Yonkers, every one of us has the opportunity to vote for school board trustees and for the local budget. In some communities, they have local libraries that are structured through the school district. New Rochelle is one of them. And so you'll be voting for school board trustees as well as library board trustees in New Rochelle and any other community where it applies. So check with your local school district. They'll tell you where the voting locations are. Usually they're at one or more of the local schools, depending on the nature of your community, and they'll give you the hours that the polls are open. But that's tomorrow, and we hope you'll be there. It's Tuesday, May 21st, and this is your opportunity to express your opinion on who runs your school district. It's a significant impact on your lives. The education of our children couldn't be more important. The cost that we spend on our school districts is the largest piece of local government spending. All of those things come together in whatever decision you make tomorrow. So put that on your calendar tomorrow, school board elections. Next up, we always like to start with our municipal partner. What we hope to have week after week after week is to give you a little insight into some of the different municipalities of Westchester County. There are 45 incorporated entities. There's 20 villages, 19 towns, 6 cities, and they range in size and scope and personality. And in some of our towns that don't have incorporated villages, they have hamlets, different areas, and we know the communities by the hamlet names without necessarily realizing the town structure that we're in. The town of Newcastle is just about dead center in Westchester County. It's seen as in northern Westchester when you look at everything above 287 as being north, but 287 is not straight across the middle of Westchester. So Newcastle has the hamlet of Chappaqua, the hamlet of Millwood. It has a section of Newcastle that has a Mount Kisco post office and very close to downtown Mount Kisco. So it really stretches almost the width of the county in that area. It's a lovely community. I'm sure you've been in Chappaqua, Millwood, in that area. And the new town supervisor, she's in her first term, is there leading her board. We're happy to have her here to talk about all things Newcastle. Whatever she wants to talk about, it's entirely up to her. We invite Victoria Tipp to the podium. Thank you very much, Madam Supervisor, for being with us today. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be with you today, and I want to thank County Executive George Latimer for inviting me, and Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins as well. They have both been incredibly wonderful partners to all municipalities, and I thank them for their consistent support. I'll just talk about one initiative that's happening now in the town of Newcastle. It's very exciting. We are considering what future uses there would be for our town-owned land surrounding the Chappaqua train station. It's 23 acres of town-owned land, which includes a lot of parking space and includes our town hall and an area which includes a basketball court and a playground. We have put together a truly inclusive and collaborative process for our community with resident-driven priorities. We took this very seriously. We wanted a lot of resident participation in a community visioning process. So we engaged consultants to do this. We are very thankful to have consultants from PACE Land Use Law Center and Nexus Creative Design. And they've created a fantastic process for us. We have in-person sessions and we have opportunities for the community to give input online. We had robust engagement sessions at one of our middle schools, which is in the middle of town. It was preceded by in-person tours of the area, which was one tour which was really well attended. We had different stations to show people the different areas, and they engaged and shared their thoughts and spoke to each other. Then we followed up with engagement sessions where people sat around round tables. They had little Lego toys, they had paper maps and markers, and they had the opportunity to truly engage and work with each other. And people of all ages came, and they were truly excited, and we have a lot of buzz going on in town around this. Even people who were skeptical at first came out and said we had a lot of fun, we enjoyed this, and we are truly grateful to our residents for participating. I highly recommend a process like this to anyone, to any municipality seeking to engage the public in thinking about what to do with their land. In addition to in-person sessions, we have a website that allows for virtual engagement where people have the opportunity to take in-person tours and give feedback and get updates on all of the in-person sessions on the website. And this will be followed up by a survey. So there's a lot of excitement around this in Newcastle, and I invite you all to go on the website. It's envisionnewcastle.org so that you can see how we're doing this. And I'll be happy to talk to all the municipalities in town around to let you know about our experience, and happy to share the details with people. So I want to thank County Executive Latimer for this opportunity to come and speak about Newcastle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Supervisor. Victoria Tipp, Supervisor for the town of Newcastle. She was with us a little over a month ago when we dedicated recognition at our Hudson Hills Golf Course, which falls inside the borders of the town of Newcastle. And we remembered the original golf course on that site that was founded by African-American members back in the 1920s. And to this day, that recognition continues. She gave a very moving speech that day, and we're very happy to have her here today on behalf of the people of Chappaqua, Millwood, and all throughout the town of Newcastle. Next up, we're going to have Ken highlight for us some of the things that are coming up. We've got a host of different issues here, and I think the first one we want to talk about is National EMS Week. Ken?
Thanks, George. This week, May 19th to 25th, this year 2024 is dedicated as National EMS Week. This year marks the 50th anniversary of EMS Week. EMS Week celebrates and recognizes the dedicated men and women who provide pre-hospital medical care to our communities. When you experience a traumatic or medical emergency at home, work, the roadway, or other public location and dial 911, it is these dedicated men and women sworn to care for you who will respond to provide immediate medical care and, when required, transportation to the hospital. In honor of EMS Week, we want to share with you a brief trailer based on a documentary called Honorable But Broken, highlighting the current EMS challenges being experienced throughout our nation. The producers of this film, Byron Gilbany and Rich Diefenbach, are both Westchester residents, and the film features many Westchester EMTs, doctors, and elected officials. Let's take a look at that trailer right now.
I worked in New York City in spring of 2020, and we were pretty hard hit. It was kind of like a 9/11 every day.
Okay. Okay.
It was so bleak during that time. Seeing the cries and screams of people, seeing the disparity that I'm the one working on the road, no one else is on the road, and I'm taking people to the hospital, and that may be the last time they're interacting with that family member or their loved one. It got to a point where I broke.
You can freak out like in the ambulance, and then when we're inside, then we're like calm and collected because we have to reassure them that we're there to help them, and then that we know what we're doing. And even if like inside we're like, oh my God.
When the pandemic hit, many people worked from home. That wasn't an opportunity that 911 EMS was afforded.
They're the third uniformed service. Their job is as dangerous as police and fire. They have been right up in the front lines taking care of very sick COVID patients, constantly exposed to infectious disease.
We met people who have been in it for a lifetime. and they've never seen it more sort of broken than it is now.
Many people assume incorrectly that EMS is considered this quote-unquote essential service. And unfortunately, in many of the legislative frameworks, EMS was just left out.
One of the biggest challenges with EMS, the way that it is structured today, is the funding mechanism, the economic model.
All across this country, EMS agencies can't recruit, retain, and staff ambulances to a point to ensure the public safety.
One of the biggest disservices that I believe as a very high productive and financially sound country is when we can't take care of our own.
I believe our rural areas are the alarm sounding. We want people to know that this is a crisis that they need to pay attention to.
Particularly rural areas don't have the required EMS coverage. When someone calls 911, there's no assurance that they can get an ambulance.
People always want to talk about the cost of responding to the call, whereas we should be talking about the cost of readiness to respond to the call.
We need to have full-time paid personnel that get adequate salaries who have chosen this as a profession. This is a noble profession.
As an EMS worker, it's very difficult to live off of one salary. Therefore, I have to work at several different agencies just to pay my bills.
EMS has not been considered and viewed as a required essential services for the what-ifs. And is that, as a society, something that we are willing to fund and pay for? That's where it starts.
All we're doing with essential services is saying that this is a critical piece of public safety, much like fire and police, and that we want a bill to be able to make sure that this essential service gets funded appropriately and it can deliver the service that the public expects.
It doesn't translate into money per se under state law to simply call something an essential service. We have to rebuild the EMS system from the ground up to create a system that has enough money to sustain itself.
We encourage everyone to seek out the full film and watch it. For those that are available this Wednesday at 11 o'clock, it's going to be shown as part of EMS Week at Westchester Community College at the Gateway Center, again at 11 o'clock this Wednesday. We'll have some details that we'll be able to share. I'm sure that they're scrolling across the screen, but if not, you can certainly check out anything on our county government website, especially our Department of Emergency Services. And please join County Executive George Latimer and myself in recognizing all our dedicated EMS providers this week and every day for their dedication and their life-saving care. Back to you, George.
Thank you, Ken. Next up, we're going to talk about the Department of Consumer Protection. We have our director, James Mazzano, who is here, and he's going to address the efforts that his department is making to combat construction scams. There are all different kinds of players out there in the marketplace. Some of them are honorable, some of them are not. Jim is going to outline some of the practical steps that you can follow. And since we've now come into the spring season, we hope it stays. There's more of this happening. We start to think about outside activities. So let me invite our head of consumer protection, Jim Mazzano, to join us here. Jim, tell us what we don't know.
Sure, Mr. CE.
Thank you.
Thank you, County Executive Latimer and Deputy County Executive Jenkins. And I want to point out I have my outstanding Deputy Director, Lila Curtin, here as well. We're happy to be here today. The first thing I want to say is be careful who rings your doorbell, because we are seeing an increase of scams in doorways, something that we haven't seen years past. The scammers we know we get scammers to come call us on the phone, text us, email us, but now they're ringing your doorbell. So we're telling you to be very careful when somebody comes to your door. And there's two ways in particular that we're seeing scams in doorways. Number one is scam pavers and scam contractors. They say things like, we just happen to have extra materials. We just happen to be in your neighborhood. We can give you a real bargain to do your driveway, Give us the down payment right now. We'll be back to do the work tomorrow. Well, guess what? They're not coming back. They take your money and they don't come back. So we are definitely seeing in the last few years an increase in paving scams and even construction scams. The difference is we used to see people operating without a license in Westchester County, but they weren't trying to do a legitimate business. They just didn't have their license. Now we're seeing them purposely looking to scam homeowners. So when somebody rings your doorbell, be very careful. And by the way, we're even seeing the traditional scams in doorways, meaning the grandparent scam, the charity scams, sweepstakes scams. Someone shows up and says, "Hi, I'm from a law firm. Your granddaughter just got put in jail. I'm here to get money from you so we can bail her out of jail. And the way you're going to do this is go to the grocery store and get us gift cards, and we'll use the number off the gift cards to pay to get your daughter out of jail." This literally happened in Westchester County. They come to the door and say, "Congratulations, you won the sweepstakes. You got to fill out this form and give us all your personal information, and we'll get you the money that you won." And even charities, people coming door to door, getting money for charity. Of course, they're only taking cash, and then you'll never see them again. Of course, the money's not going to charity. So whoever rings your doorbell, you need to be very careful. Now, look, we tell people all the time, we'll say it again, if a contractor is in your doorway, if a contractor calls you, if a contractor contacts you, make sure you check if they're licensed every single time. We do the detailed background check. You want that done before you hire a contractor. You can call us at 914-995-2155, or you can email us at compro@westchestergov.com. Use our office. We're here for you. Contact us so we can make sure if somebody rings your bell, you call us to see if they're really licensed. Also, be careful with utility visits. There has been scam people from Con Ed, cable company, water company. So just don't automatically open your door. If a utility comes to your door, politely say, "Please wait 1 second," go inside, and you call the utility and say, "Did you send someone to my house today?" Because there has been scammers posing as utility companies. Remember, scammers are trying to steal your money, and they're trying to steal your identity. They seek to play on fear and anxiety, and they try to get you to panic and make quick, bad decisions. So if you get a questionable communication from a potential scammer, slow down, be careful, think what you're doing, and unsolicited communications are always dangerous. So our advice to people of Westchester County is be careful who comes to your door. There are scams coming at us every which way, and lately we're seeing increase, as I said, in scammers who are contractors and pavers who are taking your money and never doing the work or doing a really lousy work. Make sure you hire licensed contractors. Thank you, Mr. County Executive.
Thank you, Mr. Director of Consumer Protection. Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. And if it seems too good to be true, it probably isn't. And Jim certainly gave us the advisory note. Be very careful in any of your connections, whether they knock on your door, whether they dial you on the phone, or they contact you through social media, whatever those different situations are, they are of great concern. I'll send it back to Ken to talk about what we're doing with an incentive pilot program for small business under the aegis of the Solid Waste Commission. Ken.
Thanks, George. And apropos to what Executive Director of Consumer Protection, Jim Mazzano, was just talking about, this new program from the Solid Waste Commission is an exciting program to make sure that the people that are working their butts off trying to do work, lifting up their businesses, especially those small businesses in the MWBE, NSVDOB, the Service Disabled Veterans Community, the Minority Women's Business Enterprises, as well as Service Disabled Veterans programs that many of our communities, especially here in Westchester County, run, get that great opportunity to move forward. So the Solid Waste Executive Director, Perry Cottonoff, is going to come up and talk to us about a brand new program that was created by her and her team that's going to talk about small businesses into a incentive pilot program where they get licensed and they make sure to take care of business. So with that, Perry Cottonoff.
So under the leadership of our County Executive, George Latimer, and championed by Deputy Commissioner Ken Jenkins, who sits, Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins, who sits on our commission and has championed this program, the Solid Waste Commission has developed a new small business initiative. For those who are not familiar with the work of the Solid Waste Commission, the Commission regulates the hauling and disposal industry to ensure only applicants of good character, integrity, and honesty receive and retain licenses to operate in Westchester County. One of our goals is to increase competition among the haulers and enhance consumer choice. During 2023, for example, the Commission investigated and approved over 100 new companies to be licensed by the Commission. This pilot program will allow for companies who were previously unable to meet the financial requirements that are necessary can now enter this pool of applicants. For those who operate unlicensed in Westchester County, they are subject to a minimum fine of $2,500 every time they haul or dump material. So being able to enter this industry is really within compliance is really important to all companies. The program seeks to remove the financial barriers to the industry, allowing eligible businesses to enter the hauling market by significantly reducing application and truck fees for Class 2 haulers. For those, there are several requirements. Those companies who own and lease one truck only, do not have what they call a roll-off or container business, and whose principals do not have interests in other related businesses. C2 haulers, for those who don't know, transport construction and demolition debris in and out of and throughout the county. This is the first program of its kind in the 25-year history of the Solid Waste Commission that is strategically designed to lower the barriers and upfront costs for small businesses looking to break into this industry in Westchester. The program reduces application fees, annual costs, and truck fees by as much as 36% for those who are eligible. The specific details of the program are posted on the Solid Waste Commission website. More small businesses operating in Westchester County will stimulate economic activity by developing more business opportunities within the county. And as the Deputy County Executive mentioned, also focused on the minority and women-owned businesses. This is not only going to impact the hauling industry, it is also going to impact the construction industry as well, who is looking for those businesses to be in compliance with the Solid Waste Commission and Westchester County laws, who they can hire to backhaul and use on their construction projects. The first business accepted into this program was Monte Haulers, a Monticello-based company that is owned and operated by a young mother from the Dominican Republic. 5 additional new companies have been accepted into this program so far, and we're now in the process of contacting the currently licensed companies who are eligible to pay lower truck fees going forward that they don't even yet know about. The more people who know about this program, the more people that this program can help. I would encourage anyone who has questions about the program, about the licensing process, or about any other information to help everyone move into compliance in this industry to reach out to us at 914-995-6820. Thank you.
Thanks, Perry. And we want to make sure, as County Executive Latimer, always make sure that we do is the members of the commission, and certainly our team that's at the Solid Waste Commission that takes care of business every day, including the inspectors and those folks that continue to make sure to license those folks to make sure that they're doing the right thing. Executive Director James Mazzano is also a member of the Solid Waste Commission, and he's also working in tandem to make sure that not only these new businesses get licensed the way that they're supposed to from the Solid Waste Commission's perspective, then they have their other contractors license that they need as well, so that they can grow their businesses and be part of this particular industry, which for solid waste may have some reputations that we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen again in the future. So again, congratulations on the outstanding work. It was the members of the team that made that difference, and County Executive Latimer and myself just happen to listen to the smart people that do that. Back to you, George.
Thank you, Ken. Well, we continue with issues that involve some of the different departments of county government. Next up is our friends from the Health Department. And we're going to ask in a few seconds Dr. Charlita Amler and Deputy Commissioner Chris Erickson to join us up here. These county health department officials will detail how their inspectors are getting ready for the summer. The summer involves lots of different things. One of the things that they're responsible is to make sure that our pools and our beaches are safe. And how we go about testing to make sure that's the case is what they're going to tell us about. So, Dr. Charlita Amler and Chris Erickson, please join us at the podium. And thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So, good afternoon. So I'm here to talk about summer safety, and primarily Chris Erickson has joined me. So if your summer weekend plans are going to include some time spent around water, I'd like to ask you to take a few moments to brush up on your water safety. It just might save the life of someone you love. So always, I'm going to ask you to always watch your children when they are in or near water, and never assume that any other adult in the area is watching your children. Lifeguards are the second line of defense at a pool or a beach. The parents and the guardians must always be the first line of defense. It's always a good idea to designate a water watcher, someone who will never, not for a second, take their eyes off of the children. And that also includes not being on their cell phone. Take turns, and when the designated water watcher needs to step away or take a break, be sure to pass the baton onto another responsible adult. Water is really a kid magnet. They all love water, and young children can slip silently and drown in less than a minute. Unfortunately, this happens all too often, with more than 4,000 drownings occurring each year. Drowning is the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4, and one of the top causes of injury for children up to age 14. That's why everyone should be vigilant. If you own a pool, I would suggest that you consider investing in self-closing gates so that children cannot wander into an unsupervised pool area and drown. These latches are really important to keep the pool secure. And also, you should put pool safety covers over the water, and consider having a pool alarm which would let you know if children have entered the pool area. Consider taking advantage of low-cost swimming lessons for yourself or your children at municipal pools and local Ys, because knowing how to swim is a really important skill, and it could really save their life or your life. Inflatable floats are really fun, but you cannot rely on them to keep non-swimmers afloat. Life vests provide better buoyancy and leave arms free, but they're no substitute for an adult's eyes and ears. So by taking these very simple steps to protect our children around water, we can all have a safe and fun summer. So thank you, and now I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Amler. Summer is definitely one of our busiest times of year in our Division of Environmental Health, and as many people look to take breaks in the summer, our department is kicking up the notch a little bit, and our staff are working hard to protect the citizens of those visiting Westchester County, and of course just our residents here alone. Although there are many programs that our Department of Health does do, in particular in the summer months, we have our pools, our beaches, and our children's camps. So, to talk about what our inspectors are doing out there when they go out there and do an inspection, give you an idea, when visiting a children's camp, they're looking at staff credentials. They're looking at camper to staff ratios are acceptable. And they're looking to see if the camper medical records are on site and that we have contact information for everyone. They're reviewing the incident medical log and making sure that any incidents that needed to be reported are actually being reported to our office. Our staff will be confirming with the camp and following their written safety plan, and that if there's any potential imminent health hazards that we notice right off the bat, that those hazards are corrected right away as soon as we're out there. Our inspectors are going to pools and the beaches, and we'll be, again, checking to see if the staff credentials are proper and that they have the proper lifeguarding credentials, not only CPR and first aid. With pools, our staff check to make sure that the water quality is working as designed, which also requires our inspectors to get in the area of the pool pump and the circulation system. So this could be a very complicated process, so we make sure that our staff are well-trained and familiar with these systems. So improper circulation of water can quickly become an issue with water quality not meeting the state standards. At our regulated beaches, as part of our beach surveillance program, staff will be taking weekly water samples from bathing areas, making sure that bacteria levels are within acceptable ranges. And sometimes beaches are closed preemptively when there's a heavy rainfall. The best way to determine if your beach is opened or closed is you can call the beach directly for sure, but you can also check out the Department of Health website. And when you go on the county website, you can use the search tool and just type in the search tool, beach closure. And up we'll post the latest closures, if any, for the county. Our job as inspectors are to look at things that could potentially cause health and safety issues. One of the things we always do is make sure that our operators are educated and that they understand what they're supposed to be doing as proactively moving forward through the summer. Our department inspectors are looking forward to a healthy summer for its residents as we embark on the first weekend of summer, and we wish everyone a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Chris Erickson and Dr. Charlita Amler. Next up, we're moving from topic to topic. We hope this is interesting and shows you the breadth of county government in all these different areas of public policy. Ken is going to cover an economic development effort operated through our program, The Catalyst.
Thanks, George. Coming up this week on May 22nd, that is on Wednesday, there's an important panel discussion from our Department of Economic Development. This opportunity is going to focus on opportunities and resources for small businesses. This Catalyst event is going to focus on chambers of commerce, our minority and women-owned businesses, or MWBEs, disadvantaged business enterprises, DBEs, our service-disabled veterans are all invited to attend. This panel is going to feature speakers from the Metropolitan Transit Authority, MTA, New York Power Authority, NYPA, and Westchester County. Do not miss this great opportunity to learn about opportunities for federal and state contracts, resources for your businesses, and to be able to network with other business owners similarly situated. This event, again, is going to be Wednesday, May 22nd in White Plains at the NYPA building. That's at 123 Main Street, and that's going to go from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. To learn more or to register, please contact the Director of Minority and Women-Owned Business Development and Immigrant Affairs, Martha Lopez. Her number is 914-995-2947. Back to you, George.
Back and forth. Next up, I want to address an issue that came up a week ago in some public dialogue regarding Westchester County's funding of mental health programs. There may be a little bit of speculation online, and there was a comment made at a public forum where someone said that Westchester County is defunding mental health. I want to address that straightforwardly. That comment may have been made out of ignorance of what we've done, but let me give you the facts exactly of how we in this government have handled our concerns for mental health funding and through our Department of Community Mental Health. Our first year in office was 2018, and when we came in, the total budget for the Department of Community Mental Health was $58 million. The budget for the current year, 2024, is $90.5 million. That is a 56% increase in the amount of money that we as a county government are spending to try to address mental health issues in the county. $58 million up to $90.5 million. That's not defunding. That is funding at a very robust level. In 2018, the head count, the number of employees in the Department of Community Mental Health, was 69 positions. This year in our budget, we have 99 positions. That is a 50% increase from 66 to 99 people who are there to help administer these programs. But as important as the increase in funding and the increase in staffing is, the new programs that we've launched are particularly important. Let's outline a couple of them. We've talked a lot here about Project Alliance. That is our mental health crisis response team. This signature program came out of the police reform effort that happened here in Westchester County. We impaneled a police reform group, even at the time that at that time the governor of the state had required it of all governments. We initiated that 4 years ago. They came up with a number of recommendations, and one of the most important recommendations was to put together a program that has two basic components: training dispatchers who would be able to identify an incoming 911 call to determine that there was a mental health issue that was at hand, and then also the ability that we would have a mobile crisis response team that could cover any place in the county in a moment's notice to have mental health providers respond with police whenever an incident occurred that was reported to be a person that's having a mental health incident. We have trained over 940 dispatchers, which is an unbelievable number over the course of the few years the program has been in. And we've also included in that the tour commanders, the people that are in charge of the incident when they're responsible at that moment in time. And this is training, professional training, to effectively respond when these 911 calls come in. We have created 8 separate mobile crisis response teams, and they're in 8 different nodes around the county to be able to respond in quick time, whether the incident occurs in Yonkers or Mount Vernon or anywhere in the county, in Ossining, in Mount Kisco, and not just in our urban centers, but in our suburban communities, in Harrison, in North Salem, in Cortland, in any of those locations. In the first quarter, just the first quarter of 2024, the teams responded to 724 calls, and that led to 2,300 follow-ups to ensure coordination of services. That is a significant implementation of a program recommended by our Police Reform Task Force. Opioid settlement-funded programs, $4.2 million in opioid settlement funds, including $2.9 million for treatment services made available in this county government in this budget, $776,000 for prevention and recovery services, and $422,874 for harm reduction services. We want to thank our State Attorney General Letitia James, whose successful prosecution of opioid settlement cases has allowed certain revenue to come into this county and other counties targeted specifically for these programs. And these programs are essential for us in dealing with the expansion and, frankly, the explosion of opioid addiction all across our county. We have reopened mental health clinics. The county is investing $1 million to reopen the first of 2 safety net mental health clinics, reversing prior closure of those mental health clinics that occurred before our administration took office. This clinic will be co-located with the county's public health clinic in a secure, confidential area. Children and adolescent services. In the area of children and adolescent services, we have created a children's cabinet and have received $2.75 million SAM SHA grant for adolescent, young adults co-occurring treatment. With our additional county resources, we have more than doubled our school-based mental health clinics from 34 to 74 countywide. That's a significant increase. These are new initiatives in addition to our ongoing programs: suicide prevention, addiction recovery, prevention and adult services. You may recall we opened up an area in Ridge Road Park called the Healing Garden as part of our efforts to deal with suicide prevention, and in those cases where there have been a completed suicide, that those people who are relatives of the person that we've lost have a place to go and deal with that important loss. We've done many, many things under the great leadership of Michael Orth, who is our commissioner of the Department of Community Mental Health. And as you've seen already, as we've discussed already today, our solid waste department and what they've been able to do, what our Department of Health has been able to do, our Department of Consumer Protections. You've seen our intergovernmental relations with one of our local officials, the EMS efforts. We're working in numerous different ways in this county government to be proactive and progressive in the way we handle these issues. So if you happen to hear an errant comment about defunding mental health, you have the facts, and the facts are clear. We have fully funded mental health, and we've increased that funding, and we've done things in a progressive, responsible way, and we've done it cooperatively, all of us together, the Board of Legislators, those of us in the executive branch, and we are light years ahead of other counties around us in being able to address those issues. Now, I'd like Ken to do his usual very best outlining parks, events, and I'm going to close with our Memorial Day efforts.
Thanks, George. So, on Mondays, we are continuing with our Park and Read program at the Alfred B. Del Bello Muscoot Farm, which is up in Somers. That happens on Mondays from 11 a.m. to 11:45. You're going to be able to discover The Joy of Reading in a Picturesque Westchester County Park. It's our spring version of this program. It's the Spring Read Aloud program, where we bring stories to life for children ages 3 to 6 that have a parent or guardian with them. You can't drop off your children. You have to stay there with them from 3 to 6. That's in the activity building. And the last session for the spring session is going to be June 3rd. So we're going to skip over next week because it's the holidays, and then we'll go right to June 3rd. Tomorrow, Tuesday, May 21st, and Friday, May 24th, and that's going to happen Tuesday through Fridays, continuing weekly. Dr. Shalita Amler would tell us that it's good to walk around in the mall. It helps us out because, one, if you are allergy sufferers like myself or Executive Director James Mazzano, you want to make sure to be in that controlled environment where you don't have to worry about as much pollen and the other things that happen. You don't have to worry about inclement weather, and you can still get your walk on if you don't have that kind of facility at a healthcare place, a gym, or at home. It's really a great opportunity. It's 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Tuesday and Friday in the Westchester here in White Plains. And you can see those details at parks.westchestergov.com. The Park and Read program, again, is on Thursday the 23rd. That's at Lasden Park and Arboretum up in Katona. Again, 3 to 6 year olds can't drop the children off. Your parent or guardian needs to be with them. That's going to be in the main house living room that's just been recently renovated under this administration, the Latimer administration, to be able to continue to do those kind of things in Lasden Park. And they actually have a brand new garden, Nan's Garden, which opened during this past weekend for Mental Health Awareness Month, which May is part of as well. So Lasden Park, Tuesday the 23rd, that's in the main house living room. Again, it's the spring version of that Read Aloud program. Finally, because Dr. Shalita Amler and Chris Erickson came through and we're talking about beaches opening, this Saturday is going to be the first day of our beaches opening, whether that's at Glen Island Park or Croton Point Park. Those are beach opening days. Those beaches open from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Certainly, weather permitting, you certainly should check. The parks will post when there's things that happen and the beach is closed during the testing that the health department does, and making sure that everything happens in a normal way. The beaches are going to be open from weekends from May 25th right through June 19th. Weekends 19th, the 27th, the 19th of June, and right to the 23rd. Until then, it's open every day of the week. It's always weather permitting. There's no admittance after 6 p.m. The parking and beach admission fees do apply. Westchester County residency is required for admission with a valid county park pass, a New York State driver's license, or a valid New York State ID with a Westchester address. So any of those opportunities can happen. And certainly we always like seeing the executive director of our Solid Waste Commission and her deputy director, Wanda Steinman, be here as well. So Perry Kadenoff and Wanda Steinman, thank you for being here with us today. That's all the exciting things that are happening. It's a holiday weekend. It's my birthday weekend. And back to you, George, to close things out for Memorial Day.
Thank you. And as we wish Ken Jenkins a happy birthday, he's still younger than me and will always be younger than me. Congratulations on another year. I want to mention one thing. We always get questions about the last couple of years now about Playland. The county owns Playland Amusement Park and Beach, but we do not manage it. So Playland is now under the management of Standard Amusements. They establish their policies. You're welcome to go on to their website to determine the information that you'd like to know about Playland and Playland Beach. Please do that as well. Memorial Day is coming up to be celebrated a week from today on the 27th day of May. It was one of those holidays that had a traditional May 30th date that was changed back, I think, in the 1970s when we moved to Monday holidays for a number of different holidays over the course of our calendar to create 3-day weekends. So next weekend is the official Memorial Day as it is celebrated in the United States. The traditional Memorial Day comes a few days after that, and some communities have already begun their Memorial Day events. Just yesterday, the town of Eastchester had their annual Memorial Day parade all along Route 22, White Plains Post Road. Most of the events in the local communities will be happening on Monday, May 27th, generally speaking, in the morning hours, somewhere in the 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock range. Consult your local community to see when there will be a ceremony, and if so, a parade in your community. There are some parades that are set outside of that parameter. This coming Thursday night, there'll be a parade that the town of Mamaroneck and the village of Larchmont jointly sponsor through the streets of Larchmont, a little bit of the town of Mamaroneck. You will have next Sunday, or this coming Sunday, a parade in the village of Hastings on Hudson. And then that evening of that night, which is May 26th, Sunday night, there'll be a parade in the village of Mamaroneck. And they're all across the county, different parades and activities. It's a wonderful way to remember to celebrate those men and women who've died in the uniform of our country. That is what Memorial Day is. Veterans Day later in the year honors everyone who has served as a veteran, but Memorial Day is for those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And that sacrifice, we say it casually, the sacrifice was a sacrifice of years. That young men and women, people in their teens, late teens, in their 20s and their 30s, had their life cut short. Well before their time was due, because they were in service of this nation. And they died half a world away. They may have died in the woods of France in the First World War. They may have died in the Pacific or in the Atlantic Theater during World War II, Korea, Vietnam, certainly during my era that followed, what's happened in the Middle East and the number of conflicts that have happened over the years. Some died in the barracks in Beirut when they were destroyed by a terrorist bomb. There are many ways by which we have seen men and women make that ultimate sacrifice. But it's important to understand, as much as Memorial Day weekend for us is the beginning of the summer season, for those who have the ability to travel, they use this as a weekend to travel. If you have a summer home, if you have a boat that you want to put out on the water, Memorial Day weekend gives you that opportunity. And we want everybody to be as respectful of their recreation time as they can. But if you can find some time, to remember that this holiday is not just a day off. This is a day to recognize people who have made a sacrifice that allowed us to be able to live these years, to come to our maturity, to have children, grandchildren, to be able to fully enjoy the joys of life. And they were denied those years. They were denied those choices, and they did it voluntarily in service to their country. None of us knows what that moment of departure from this planet is like. And when we do find out, we won't be able to tell anybody else about it. It'll be very personal to us. But these young men and women went through that moment, and they did it as an element of sacrifice. We owe them. We owe them this moment of recognition. When their names are on a plaque in the city or the village or the town that you live in, you owe it to them to stand there and understand that they lived their life and they died in service to us. We have our Memorial Day service coming up on Friday. We do this specifically to not conflict with all the municipal activities so that you can be in your local hometown for those services. Ours is going to be held this coming Friday, May 24th at 11 a.m. It will be at Lasden Park, Arboretum, and Veterans Memorial. Lasden Park, beautiful facility. It's in the town of Somers, the hamlet of Katona, on Route 35, a little west of 684, a little east of the Taconic Parkway if you're coming from the southern part of Westchester or the central part of Westchester. If you live up in northern Westchester, Route 35 is sort of the main street that goes east-west. At Lasden, we will have a respectful service to remember all those brave people who died. Ron Tochi, who he's director of our Veteran Services, and many other individuals will be involved with that. And we invite you to join us for that event. It'll be relatively brief. It will be broadcast on Facebook Live. You'll see it on this channel if you're watching us now, so you can watch it from the comfort of your home. But if you can show up in person, that also shows additional respect to those who have died. We have many things to do in this society. We have many work ahead of us. We've outlined all that in this update. But we would do ourselves well to remember that there were people who existed here before us and have made sacrifices, and we would be mindful to respect those sacrifices even as we go about our everyday work. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Thank you for watching. Have a good day ahead, good week ahead, and we'll look forward to seeing you perhaps on Friday at Lasden Park.